Okay, so how to deal with being card dead. It's something that every player goes through. It's something every player complains about. It's something that you hear no matter where you go. And what I want to do right now is I want you, after this video, I want you to make me a promise that you never complain or bitch about being card dead ever again, because it's the wrong way to really think about poker. And also, it's something that I've done probably upwards of like 400 or 500 times. And I was just thinking about this not too long ago, like a couple of months ago, about this whole notion of card debt is really just complaining and not good. So let me explain. So first of all, we're going to change the way you think about it, because there's no such thing anymore. And this is why. You can be card dead at a table. Basically, if those of you who don't know what card dead means, just you're not getting any hands. And that could happen is just in terms of a bell curve distribution, some nights you're not going to get, aces. You get aces one in every 220 hands. Some nights you're not going to get your pairs. You're not going to get anything playable, and that happens. But what doesn't happen is that there's tons of situations while you're sitting down at the table that can be maximized on, right? There's tons of things that are going on, things that are happening. So the first one is like your standard 1-2 thing. I see this on a lot of table and a lot of 1-2 tables where everybody's passive. You'll see a lot of players, call, call, call. And one of my favorite things to exploit and one of my favorite situations to go after is when you get like a really aggressive player who has no knowledge of a position and tends to raise like every other hand, and he or she raises, early position, and then they get 2 callers behind them or 1 caller behind them, and then you're sitting in position. And I often use this opportunity to pretty much raise with anything, just because it's so successful that I get those opponents to fold a good percentage of the time. And quite often, if they call, they'll check the flop, and a continuation bet will usually do it. Sometimes not always, sometimes people hit, but it's a situation that you can maximize on, right? So it's a situation that I'm looking for. So yeah, I'm looking at cards, and I'm waiting for my cards to come, and I love aces just like everybody else, but I'm also looking at the situation at the table. And when you're looking at the situations, it doesn't really matter what kind of cards you have. It's irrelevant, and it's cool because it distributes your range and makes you a little bit of an unpredictable player. But a couple other things is, it's interesting. When I played poker, I was very interested in the game of poker, but I wasn't interested in the game that I was playing. You kind of get what I'm saying? So, you're interested in poker, you love poker, you're watching this video right now, so I know you love the game. But when you sit down at the table, you're kind of just like, I don't feel like playing. You got to change this perspective. And the reason why is, if you were to do that, if you were just to be interested in the hands that you're playing in, your actual, assuming your range is like, let's say 20%, the actual amount of hours that you have on a table are much less than you actually think they are. And the whole point is, you can use that information to practice. You can sit there, instead of, if you're card dead, you can just sit there and just, try to figure out, narrow people's range, try to narrow opponents' range, try to figure out the action, try to guess what people have, constantly play that game with yourself, and constantly try to, really play that guessing game just like you were in the hand. You view it like you were in the hand and try to figure out what's the most effective thing to do. And what happens is, if you do this while you're not in a hand, once you become in the hand, or once you actually get a decent hand to play, you can extract a lot more value that way, and it's really, really, really helpful. But yeah, it's just like, it's the wrong way to look at it, because then you're looking at a poker from just, all right, you need cards to win, and you don't. Like, ideally, you can maximize on situations. There's certain spots you can bluff. There's certain things that you can look at. So really try to change this perspective. I hope this helped. It really helped me. It got reaffirmed the other day. Somebody asked me a question like, oh, I was card dead. Zuli, who's working with us on Beyond Tells, said, oh, I was just card dead, and I gave her this kind of speech, and it's really important. You don't always need cards. And worst comes to worst, if you don't get anything and you're running like shit the entire day, maybe you walk away with 10 times more information or 10 times more practice because you were interested in that actual game. So be interested in the games you're playing, not just interested in poker, all right? Thanks again for watching. If you have any recommendations for videos or any things that you want to see, put them in the comments. I'll try to get to them. Last but not least, as most of you have known, I've been working nonstop on Beyond Tells. Check out beyondtells.com. It's my behavioral approach to poker. One of the cool things we've worked on this week is, for the first time ever, I've created what's called behavioral hand histories. So you know how you have poker hand histories? Now we have behavioral hand histories. So like every action that goes on in the game based on a certain player. So player bets with ace king, and then there's a bunch of different behaviors that are correlated. Pair, folds with this, bunch of behaviors that are correlated. Really, really cool stuff. I'm going to introduce it to you. It's going to be out August 29th. It's almost sold out on pre-order, so check it out, beyondtails.com. Share the video. Any questions, feel free to comment. You know the deal. And, last but not least, if you're not thinking, you're gambling. I think that's going to be my tagline. I'm just going to keep saying it. If you're not thinking, you're gambling. A different way and every time. But have a good one, guys.